Hello IELTS writers, welcome to IELTS Juice. Let's start assessing a report today. And before we start, like always, if you find the content to your liking, meaning the report assessment, letter assessment, or essay assessment that we upload regularly on the channel are the videos that you like and enjoy, please consider subscribing to the channel and clicking on the notification bell so that the next time the videos are uploaded, you will be the first to be notified. And number two is for others. If you click on the like button, the algorithm will know that this content is valuable and it will automatically show it to all IELTS candidates who are preparing for the test. And this is free content. They can learn a lot. They might be struggling with IELTS writing. A lot of students struggle with IELTS writing. So it might help them. You might be living in one country, helping another individual in another continent, living in another country preparing for the IELTS test. So if you just spend 2 seconds clicking on the like button, you will help another IELTS candidate, a fellow IELTS candidate who struggles with IELTS writing and would definitely need something that helps him or her pass the test. Anyway, on those two notes, let's dive in. The diagram below shows how geothermal energy is used to produce electricity. So this time we've got ourselves a diagram. So no pie charts, no line charts, no tables, none of those conventional visuals. This time we have a diagram. There are steps numbered 1 to 5. So we have cold water, it goes down, then there's this called as a well, then there is geothermal zone that the cold water goes through and then comes up from this side. It's called the production well. It's pumped up, there's a condenser, the steam will go through the turbine, and the turbine will power the generator, and the generator will generate electricity, which is transmitted by these pylons. Good. Let's see what the report has to offer. The provided diagram below represents how geothermal energy is used to produce electricity by a geothermal power plant, or maybe by geothermal power plants all over the planet, which are divided into 5 respective categories. First step of a cycle involves digging the ground and placing cold water 4.5 kilometers below the surface. We don't dig the ground, we haven't done digging, I don't see that, and then we don't place the cold water 4.5 kilometers below. We just pump it down. We place it here, it's already there. The cold water in the second step, injection well. In the second step, which is called the injection well, to pump down the cold water, we place the cold water 4.5 kilometers below the surface to pump the cold water into the second injection well, which finally goes through the geothermal zone, hot rocks, which would be in flow until it gets to the production well. I just read one sentence, and in one sentence we went from number 1 to number 2 to number 3. In one sentence, guys. Wow, that's really confusing. I didn't like this. There are a lot of errors here, all related to grammar. The first step of this cycle involves digging the ground. Nobody dug the ground. That's not the first step. The first step is placing the cold water the first step starts with cold water being pumped down into this well. So, and they pump it down for 4.5 kilometers. And then I need to stop it here and then start the second step. In the second step, which is called the injection well, in the second step, the injection well will lead the water through the pipes, which the pipes themselves go through the geothermal zone, that is mostly hot rocks, which would be in flow. I don't know what that means, until it gets to the production well. I mean, it flows, of course it flows because we're pumping it to reach the production well. That is the third step. I see multiple errors on top of each other, guys. This is really confusing. It is mainly for this reason. Which reason? That from the beginning, cold water must be in flow below the ground. This is not good. We are not allowed to come up with reasons for something. This is a report. We basically look at whatever we can see and then turn it into words. I don't see the reason why the cold water here must be here, and that's the reason we just put it here. Where's the reason? I definitely am not a geothermal engineer, even if I were, by some stretch of some imagination, a geothermal engineer, I wouldn't still dare write anything that is not individual at an IELTS exam. That is risky, and it is definitely a factual mistake. It is mainly for this reason that from the beginning, cold water must be in flow below the ground to reach without it. We don't need a preposition. The injection well, but that being said, there is no punctuation here. There is no comma. In geothermal zone, due to the existence of hot rocks, which eventually lead to the conversion of cold water to hot water through the production well, it's dangling. The sentence doesn't end there. So in the third step, so my question here is, why do I see the first step and the second step in one paragraph? Especially, I saw 3 phases in one sentence, and then the third step has its own paragraph. Is there anything significant about the third step? It's just a production well that is pumping up hot water. Why is it so significant? I don't see anything special here. An issue with paragraphing. In the third step, during production well, comma, and during production well? Production well is just a well. It's just a hole in the ground. It's not duration. It's not a process. It's an object. It's a phenomenon. I don't know. It's something. There is no duration for that. It's like street. Can you say duration during street? What does it mean during street? I don't know. You can already feel my anxiety here, my lack of understanding and a little bit of confusion here. I know what I saw on the visual, and I see the sentences and they don't match, and I'm lost here. So in the third step, during the third phase, comma, hot, comma before hot water is pumped, I need passive voice, is pumped up and fills the condensation machine. Okay, the hot water does not fill the condensation machine. It's the steam that, you see, it's the steam that is piled up in the condenser. Which, oh God, you see, can you see the number of times I see which? It's like which. A lot of witches with a pointy hat and I don't know, a broom saying abracadabra. No, but that's not accurate use of which. In the fourth step, and this condenser, like this condenser, not other condensers, this particular one. I don't need this. And condensers and a condenser will evaporate hot water? No. A condenser's job is to condense. It doesn't evaporate anything. It's hot water and it is turned into steam. That's it. And converted to the steam, which flows, again, flow is a verb, through the turbine and leads and okay, steam doesn't lead, and steam cannot be a tour leader. You know, when was the last time you were on a trip and you saw steam is carrying a banner or is going to greet you at the airport? Steam is led. Like, there are human beings, there are engineers who know what to do with steam, and they lead steam to something, to production of power by steam. Okay, and ultimately powered by turbine, and is ultimately powered by turbine. I'm totally lost. I don't know who the subject is. And produces electricity, which, oh gosh, another which, supplies, which is led to pylons and then is dispensed across the city. Okay, and is transmitted across the city. Overall, production of electricity by geothermal energy requires, guys, look at this. I forgot to mention in the beginning, I don't see any time frame. And that means, you are right, we only use present simple tense. Only. We don't need any other form of verb here. Requires 5 steps, as shown in the diagram. Is there a simple belief in punctuation? I need a semicolon, I need a comma, I need something to stop and help me breathe. I have to read all of it in one go. And the most important step would be, why hypothetical? We can see the visual. It's in front of us. Is conversion of cold water into hot water through the geothermal zone. Is this the most important step? Who said so? Can I see this? Is it the most important part? Why do we have to say this? It's open to debate or judgment. Maybe the most important part is this turning steam, which is, if you just let it go, it will go into air. Turning it into electricity, maybe this part is the most important part. Should we argue about it? Or we are talking about facts, about things that we can see. This is not an essay. There are not 2 different opinions about geothermal energy. Discuss both views and then state your opinion. For our report, in this particular case, we are not allowed to come up with our own opinion or our own judgment. We are not allowed. We are only allowed to look at the visual and convert it into words. Conversion is conversion of cold water to hot water through the geothermal zone, as well as, so the most important step are two or more than one. Access of hot water to the condenser. Access of hot water has access, like I have access to the internet, and hot water has access to condenser. Not good. Which supplies steam. No, the condenser does not supply steam. To generate power, to provide enough power to the turbine by producing electricity or by electricity production. 250 nightmarish words for me, and you can already see, yes, the elements are covered and the key features are presented, but details are inaccurate and inappropriate, obviously. And the overview is just generally and appropriately selected, but it doesn't get any better than 6. I saw multiple punctuation. I mean, the organization was there. Yeah. There is a general organization of ideas. There's this overall progression is fine, but when you go deep, the progression from sentence to another sentence is not there. Referencing issues, a lot of which as a connector makes it mechanical. Yes, paragraphing is not good. One paragraph is for 2 steps, another is for the 3rd step. There's no reason why it's that. And it's not always logical. That's what I meant. So yeah, there's an adequate range of vocabulary and an adequate range for sentences, but there are many errors, and the most confusing one is errors in grammar. It's not a 6. With 6, you may have some difficulty with some or maybe a few sentences, but here I had multiple confusion with multiple sentences. All in all, this is 5.5, guys. There is a lot we learned, that when we write a report, we're not allowed to say our opinion. We need to respect punctuation. We need to follow a logical organization. We must use present simple throughout because it's a diagram, unless you have a time frame. And do not just come with arguments like, yeah, this is the most important step because I say so. This is not an essay. We are not allowed to express our opinion. We are only allowed to look at the visual. Whatever I see will be converted into words. And on that note, I remind you that your letters, reports, and essays are your representatives. And if they don't do their jobs well, something like this will happen, a face like this will happen, a confused reader will happen, and a lot of trouble will come after that. So make sure your representatives do their jobs well. And on that note, I wish you a lovely day ahead.